Good morning. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding Monday, the second reading of the portion of Shmini. We're holding chapter 9, verse number 17 in the book of Leviticus. Vayakriv es hamincha, and he brought the meal offering. Vayimale kapay, and he filled his hand mimena from it. Vayaktel al mizbeach, and he brought it as a smoke he brought it totally on the mizbeach. Besides the morning burnt offering. Ashes vayimale kappa. What do you mean? He filled his palm with not the whole mincha, but with the scoop. All these sacrifices Aaron offered up only after he offered up the morning early tamid shal shachas. Vayishchat, and then he slaughtered the hasher v'sayel. He slaughtered the cow, the ox, and the ram. Zevach hashlamim, which was the offering, the peace offering. Asher la'am, which was from the Jewish people. Vayimtziu ben Aaron es adam elav, and then the Aaron presented the blood to him. Vayizakei al mizbeach savid, he sprinkled it around the mizbeach, around the altar. V'sachlovim, and then he took the fats, and asher from the ox. When the ayel from the ram, he took the tail, and the fatty covering, and the kidneys, and the diaphragm with the liver. Now she says the fat that covers the innards. And he placed the fats on top of the breasts. And he caused the fats to go up in smoke on the altar. Rashi's after waving, the kohen will perform the waving, gives the portions to another kohen to make them go up on smoke. As a result, it is that the portions that were on top of the top are now on the bottom due to the kohen's investing the portion to place it onto the receiving hands of the next kohen. So he flipped it over. And Aaron had already waved the breast and the right foot. He waved as an offering for God. Moshe had commanded. Aaron lift up his hands towards the people. And he blessed them. And he came down from doing the korban chatos, and the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the shlamim and the peace offering. What did he tell them? Birchas kayanim. He gave them the blessing that the kohen gives. Yivarecha, Hashem Paravalecha, Yisa, as the brought in the Gemara. He came down from the altar. Verse 23. Moshe came out to the tent of meeting. And they went out. They blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared before the entire people. Ashes, why did they enter? Vayevoyu, they came. Why did they enter the tent of meeting? In the section of this Torah, I found. So what did the pasuk over here tell us? They came. They were there. Found the Braisa added to our version Teres Kanim, which states the following: why did Moshe enter with Aaron? To teach him about the procedure of the burnt offering. That's where they came to the oil mode. Or perhaps did he enter only for another purpose? I can make a deduction, descending from the altar and entering the tent of meeting. This verse both requires the blessing of the people. Thus, the descending in the altar is related to the service. So, entering the tent of meeting in the Mishkan itself relates to the service. Hence, you learn from here why Moshe and Aaron entered, namely to teach him about the procedure of the burning of the incense, which is related to the service. Another explanation: why did Moshe enter with Aaron when Aaron saw that the sacrifice had been offered and all the procedure had been performed, yet the Shekhinah had not yet descended to Israel. He was distressed. He said, I know that the Holy One, blessed be He, is angry with me on my account that the Shekhinah had not descended to Israel. So he said to Moshe, my brother, this is what I have done to me, that you have entered me and put me to shame. At once, Moshe Rabbeinu entered the Beis HaMikdash, and he prayed for mercy, and that's why it says Vayera kalam, the Eibishter came down, the Shechina came down. Vayetze Varchu, Amri said to them, it's written in Psalms chapter 90, may the pleasantness of the Lord our God be upon us. May it be the God's will that the Shekhinah rest in the work of our hands. And why did he choose this particular blessing? Because throughout all 7 days of the Maluyim, when Moshe Rabbeinu erected the Mishkan, performed the service, and dismantled it daily, the Shekhinah did not rest on it. And the Jews were humiliated a little bit. They said to Moshe, Moshe, our teacher, all our efforts that we had taken was so that the Shekhinah would dwell amongst us, so that we would know that we were forgiven for the golden calf. Moshe answered them, this is the thing that the Eibishter commanded, do it, and the glory of the Lord will appear to you. My brother Aaron is more worthy and important than I. And so far as through his offering and his service in that 8th day, which was that day, the Shekhinah will dwell amongst you. Now you'll know that God is present amongst you. And that's what happened ultimately on the 8th day. The Eibishter, the Shekhinah came upon the Jewish people. That completes Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day, or middle of chapter 38 of Tanya. The Alter Rebbe explained the greatness of Maisa, Dibur. Dibur u'Maisa. That in the world, you need to bring down to the world the Shekhinah, right? In the beginning of chapter 35 until here, the Alter Rebbe expounded on the concept of the verse it says to do. The conclusion of the verse is, for the matter of observing Torah mitzvahs is near to you in your heart, your mouth and your heart, that you may do it. He explained that mitzvahs of action and of speech, which is also deemed action, are paramount importance, since it's through them that we achieve the goal of transforming this physical world into a dwelling place of God in the lower realms. That's what he's explaining. Meaning in the place where godliness will be revealed to even a greater degree than the higher spiritual worlds. This goal will be realized when the energy of the vital soul, the body of every Jew, will ascend from klippas neiga to holiness. And by him doing a mitzvah, he actually does that because he takes his body, the strength of his body, and ultimately all the food that he eats, the world that's around him, thereby all klippat neiga, meaning the vitality of the entire world, will ascend to holiness, and automatically all 3 impure klittas will cease to exist because they won't have any place to receive any vitality, because the klippat neiga, the in-between, will disappear. So if you take away the in-between, as we explained, the Alter Rebbe explained, according to Kabbalah, total klippa cannot receive from the holiness. He can receive from the in-between, from the middle, from the mixture of good and bad. If you elevate the middle, then you don't have any bad. Thus, there will be no obstruction of godliness in the world. Because if there's no klippat noga, if there's no covering that shines, there's no klippa. And finished, the klippa tameis will disappear. That's the beauty. The Alter Rebbe says of dibur and machshava, because ultimately elevating the physical, transforming the klippas noiga, transforming the middle klippa, which is a covering that has good and bad, then automatically you have everything, you accomplish everything. Because you accomplish to bring the middle, you accomplish to bring the middle part, which is the world, into the phase of holiness, and then the total impurity has no existence. Since the entire process hinges on elevation of the Jewish body and its vital soul, and since their elevation is accomplished by means of mitzvah of action, which requires the power and performance of mitzvahs, therefore mitzvahs of action, as he said, paramount important. That's what the Alter Rebbe has been explaining. Then the Alter Rebbe comes back to machshava, that we shouldn't diminish the concept of intention and the concept of meditation. The discussion now follows. The Alter Rebbe examine the other side of the coin. He will explain the importance of kavanah. Even though we just went through a couple of chapters explaining the greatness of action, nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe comes back and says the other side, and that is kavanah. Kavanah is also extremely important. And that is devotion and concentration or intention in the performance of mitzvahs. as used in the concept kavanah, refers to the motive act in intention. That is by performing a mitzvah. One who is united with God, who commands and will each mitzvah that represents and what it means. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe is going to go in the greatness of not just a Jew doing something Maisa, even though that's the most paramount. But nevertheless, Kavanah has its place and its importance. So the Alter Rebbe says, yet nevertheless, Amru, they said, somebody who davens and does a mitzvah without kavanah and kiguf b'lei neshama is like a body without a soul. So it's an interesting statement in the Talmud that a mitzvah b'lei kavanah, a mitzvah without intent, is a body without it. What does that mean? Pirush, this comparison to the words of the prayer, to a body, and kavanah, the soul, means as follows. Just like all creatures in this world, including a human being, has a body and a soul. Meaning nefesh, the soul of every living being, and the ruach of all flesh, and then a neshama of that old breeze of life. And the breath of life that's in the nostrils of all living creatures. And God animates them all. And he gives them existence, from nothing to something, tamid, continuously. In the vitality that he bestows upon them, meaning upon both the soul and the body, and in support of his contention that the body too has a godly life force, aside from the soul. Parenthetically, even the material body, even the very stone in the earth, which is absolutely inanimate. Yes, but so a stone lacking even the signs of life found in the plant life, meaning growth, even total inanimate being, a stone. You don't see growth in a stone. Yes, but it has within it a light and a vitality from God. That doesn't revert to naught and nothingness as it was before it was created. So further, Tanya Alter Rebbe explains that every existing being would instantly revert to absolute nothingness were it not for the godly life force that continuously creating it and keeping it in existence. Thus, even the inanimate beings contain a life force, and so surely do the bodies of living creatures. If you understand it by a stone, so it shows surely vegetation, and it's surely animal, and it's surely a human being. So what's the difference between a stone and a human being? We all are the same. The Alter Rebbe now concludes the sentence being begun earlier, just as the creator of this world possesses a body and soul, there's nevertheless, meaning despite the fact that the body and soul are alike in that they both contain a divine life force, there is nevertheless, there's no comparison. The life force that's in the body, than the life force that's in the neshama. There's no comparison. Self-understood that in the body there's less revelation, and in the soul there's greater revelation. As a difference between a stone and a human being. In the stone there's a lesser revelation, a very minute revelation of godliness in the stone, and that's why it's inanimate. And in a human being there's a greater revelation, even in his body, but surely in his neshama. So even though the body has godliness in it, the revelation in comparison to the soul is a much greater revelation. So the soul is taka greater than the body, because the soul has a greater revelation of godliness in it than the body. So the nefesh kol chai, so the life force that's in the soul, which is the soul, is a very living thing. So your soul is a living thing. The body is like a piece of afarata, afatoshev. So the body also is like a concept of earth. But nevertheless, the body, the earth that's in the body, is much greater than the earth that's in the earth itself, than a stone. But in comparison to its soul, the physical body, in comparison to its soul, the life that's in the soul is much greater than the life force that's in the body. So we can all kind of comprehend that life force is a greater life force. That's why it's called an neshama. It's a spiritual thing. Well, the body is a guf. It's a physical, also inanimate object that grows, Baruch Hashem, but still an inanimate object. And the Alter Rebbe is going to continue this thought, but he ends the Chitas. Today's Chitas ends over here. Today is the 22nd day of the month, which is chapter 106 and 107. If you do those two chapters, you do the Chitas of the day. Wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. And Med Shem, see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. We'll continue the Chitas.